Hey everyone, welcome back. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina, and I make videos about living in my tiny house on wheels and living a more intentional life. I've got a treat for you guys this video. We are on our way to Wheatgrass Village tiny house community in the interior of British Columbia. And you're going to get to meet Gareth Wheatley, and he's going to give us a tour of the space. He's going to talk a little bit about what his goals are for this community, and just give you an idea of what you can expect if you decide to move there. He is a lovely young man. This is a beautiful location, and given that the number one question I get is where can I park my tiny house, this video gives you one answer. There's only one tiny house parked there right now, and so there's room. There's, I think, 6 lots. I think you guys are really going to like it. So let's get there so I can introduce you to Gareth.
Yeah, so my name is Gareth Wheatley. I work full-time as a BC Park Ranger for provincial government, and my kind of side passion or side hobby is wheatgrass, and aiming to provide people with tiny homes, a place to park them. Yeah, so the land, it's just under 2 acres. It's owned by my uncle who lives out of country, and yeah, we're located 5 hours from Vancouver, about 2 hours from Penticton, and we're sitting at about 1,200 meters elevation. So the weather that we have here typically in the summer, obviously we're just above a sooooo, so once it's, you know, reaching the low 40s down in a sooooo there, it's typically anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler up here. For example, yesterday it was about 14 as we drove through a sooooo last night. I came up here, it was about 4 or 5 in the evening. So it's about that 10 to 15 degree difference. In the summer, you've got a super dry climate, lots of sunshine hours in the summer for sure. And as it kind of works into the fall, it maintains that really nice weather, starts to cool off, obviously being at the higher elevation. And then in the winter, you've got a proper winter. So you're varies from year to year, but we're seeing anywhere from kind of 1 meter to 1.5 meters of snowfall by the end of the season. And it's that really dry interior snow. Yeah, so for the snow management in the winter, my kind of vision for that was, I mean, I can get somebody to come and plow the main driveway and kind of the main turnaround area. It comes at quite the cost. And so my hope was to remove that cost from folks and provide them with the tools to do it for themselves. And so part of the agreement with renting and with especially renting in the winter is that I've provided a snowblower. So it's self-powered gas snowblower that I can run through folks on how to run it. And then they can use it not only to maintain their own little driveway from the main driveway, but then kind of cooperatively keep the main driveway and turnaround area clear of snow in the winter. I mean, my vision long term is to have folks who are either here up full time or use it as a recreational hub. There's lots of opportunities for a wide variety of recreational opportunity in the area. And for full-time folks, having somebody come up and make it their home. Again, kind of part of my vision was that providing people with kind of the raw pad and the raw area and giving them a chance to, and working with them to come up with something that fits them and works for them. So whether that's, you know, building a little deck or a little storage shed, putting in a wood fire hot tub, you know, anything like that, would love to see people move in and make the space their own. So it's kind of an interesting story. The way we're able to do what we're doing here at Wheatgrass is that our original development was through a developer who unfortunately went under. And with that, our property currently isn't zoned. So there is no zoning, which is a big part of it. And then any other agreements that we had with the original developer kind of fell by the wayside as the developer went under. So that's part of it. Another part of it is also being super respectful of our neighbors and working with the community and reaching out to people. And I always encourage everybody, other landowners surrounding, if there's ever an issue or if they're not happy about something, to please come talk to me. I'm more than happy to work with people if people have issues. I think that's played a big part, and reached out and chatted to surrounding folks as well, and kind of explained what our idea is, what our vision is, and kind of shared the idea, and also keeping that open communication. It's kind of their slice of little paradise that they can develop into their vision. And that was again my biggest kind of idea or vision coming into Wheatgrass, and also the space. Like, we have 2 acres. I could have fit in a lot more pads on 2 acres, but we went with 6. And my big kind of push or idea with that and maintaining that was I wanted people to have space. I've seen other tiny home communities where people are really close, and I mean, maybe folks, that works for some folks. My idea was really to hopefully attract people who wanted a little bit of space and that little bit of privacy, and have that little area where you can more or less do what you would like to do. And again, with me working with the folks who do decide to come, really developing their own space, their own area. Again, that would be part of, depending on who and what folks decide to come in and what their needs are when it comes to solar panels. So I've talked to a few folks who were interested, who had panels mounted to their roof. So part of that process was, okay, well, what pad's going to work best for you? Where's the sun coming from? You want a little bit of shade, but not too much shade. Or folks want to have the panels mounted on maybe a stand off their tiny house and then run the lines to their tiny house. So that's all part of that process of figuring out what do people need and how can we work together to make it work. So ideally, I think currently if folks can come in with solar panels and either have it mounted or not, then we can kind of work together to come up for the best spot for where those will work. And then the big thing is just in the winter, I guess, the sunshine light or the sunshine hours are less. And so understanding that generators will have to supplement definitely probably in the winter. But coming to that realization that's just the reality of it. Wanting to avoid generator use as much as possible, but also understanding that it is necessary sometimes. So for internet, most of the neighbors, they use the TELUS Smart Hub and have had quite good success with that. Our neighbors next door, I usually chat to them whenever I'm, what about that? So they use the TELUS Smart Hub and they've been really happy with it, and it's worked really well. And so that is my first suggestion for folks with internet needs, is this TELUS Smart Hub. And then there is some other kind of smaller companies that do offer internet services. I would definitely suggest the TELUS Smart Hub first and foremost.
So you're looking for tenants now?
Currently looking for tenants, currently open to tenants for sure. I think the hardest part of starting Wheatgrass, or the largest challenge, I think, is finding the folks looking for the off-grid lifestyle, and finding platforms where you can connect and where you can find folks looking for that off-grid idea.
But can you offer some help for people who are wanting to go off-grid, but they've never really done that, and they're doing their build now? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can definitely provide some advice. I'm by means no expert, but I've done a lot of my own research, and the off-grid systems are definitely a passion of mine. So I've definitely have a few kind of contacts on where to buy solar panels and electrical systems. Have friends and family friends who are electricians, and I've been kind of chatting with them and spitballing ideas. So
definitely has been kind of part of my process and passion as wheatgrass has kind of gone on its way along the development. So I can definitely work with folks who maybe never been off grid, and there are little things to think about, and it is part of the journey being off grid, is figuring out those little systems, and how am I going to stop my water lines from freezing in the winter, how am I going to keep warm. These are all little systems, and I feel once you have those systems in and are willing to get them dialed, and it can be a pretty successful and rewarding experience, I think. Yeah, I think the society now, and probably maybe even more so brought to the forefront in the last 2 years, is as soon as things start to shut down, we realize how much we depend on them. And that off-grid kind of experience or lifestyle, it really kind of provides you with a sense of independence, for sure. So I've kind of got it structured in 3 different items, our pricing currently. So currently for the pad rental itself, we're looking at about $4.95 per month. And then we've got an additional, I do believe it's $95. That goes on top of that. Basically that $95 kind of covers the landscaping that needs to happen, the brush management. It also takes care of any maintenance that needs to happen to the water pump, running the generator, the provided snow removal equipment, kind of all those kind of general operational needs is what is covered in that kind of secondary amount, which is kind of an automatic amount. But I've broken them up just so people can see what items go with what cost. And then we have the additional $50 a month if you choose to not only put in gray water but also black water into the septic system. Obviously folks who decide to do that are putting more volume into the septic system, which then requires more maintenance, and so that $50 fee just kind of covers the extra required maintenance to the septic system. Why come here? There's a long list, but I'll try and keep it short. I think this area just provides so much opportunity if you love being outside and love being outdoors, whether it's winter, summer, spring, fall. There's always something to do. It's rural, but you still have the easy connections to city necessities. If you need anything a small town can provide to you, Rock Creek, Osoyoos are only, about 25-30 minutes away. And then if you need a bigger municipal hub, you've got Penticton. There's just an absolute endless amount of exploring to do in the area. You've got Crown land, kind of like a 5-minute drive away. You've got local hiking trails that are maintained by the community members. We've got a regional parkland just across the street, which has an awesome little pond, and I've seen deer walking through there and different wild birds, which are just beautiful. We've got the local elk herd that comes through every once in a while. And then if you're into wine, we've got wine country, just a stone throws away in Oliver. And so it kind of really encompasses so many different things and different interests. And then also you've got just fantastic weather. I was talking to one of the local farmers, and he was saying that our sunshine hours in the summer are comparable to California. So we get a lot of sun, a lot of growth up here. So if anybody's interested in growing vegetables or having a little garden, I have a hard time fighting the weeds here because they grow so big so fast. And our neighbors there, they almost are, I would say, probably like 90% self-sufficient with their vegetables because how well stuff grows up here. Yeah, so we're looking for, preferably my initial vision was to come up with a tiny home community and having manufactured tiny homes. I have been working with some families and some folks who are working to get into a tiny house, who might have an RV or something like that. So I'm definitely open to working with folks who are looking to make that transition and providing them a place to maybe have their trailer and more or less kind of test out the off-grid lifestyle before they make that commitment into a tiny house. Yes, I'm getting a tiny house, but I'm currently in a trailer. and I'm going to be having my tiny house come here on this date. And I'm like, fantastic. I'm more than happy to work with people doing that. But definitely trying to kind of build that tiny house feel, and that feel of what tiny homes bring, and that kind of essence of what the tiny homes kind of have. So that's kind of my main goal, but again, definitely flexible and willing to work with folks who are looking to make that step into tiny home living. I got a total of 6 spots. Yeah, so 5 are available. We've got one tiny house on lot 3, which is kind of staying there permanently, and then yeah, the other 5 are available. They are all off-grid currently. We are looking at power options, grid power to get it to the property line. It's quite a process, but it is coming. We just have absolutely, unfortunately, no idea on timeline. Yeah, so we're kind of on the main driveway right here. That kind of leads down to where that giant pile of rocks is, which we actually got delivered a couple days ago, which is going to be kind of a little bit of stability and cribbing for each pad. But you come down the main driveway, and the first kind of offshoot here is you've got pad number 1, pad number 2, and the kind of utility shed that houses the generator and the water system as well. There is water to each lot. Each pad has a spigot, which is that little blue guy over there, and each pad also has an input for a septic as well. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So there is not just gray water disposal, but septic.
There is septic. I've kind of structured it in a way hoping that people would be keen on doing composting toilets. And so we can have everybody put into septic. Just requires then more maintenance of the septic system. So I'm kind of putting it out there for folks who do have composting toilets or incinerating toilets, and also then providing a spot for them to deposit the solids from those systems. So encouraging composting and incinerating as well.
Awesome. It's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, on a day like this is great. Yeah, we can walk up, well, let's go to pad 1 here. I'll kind of show you the input in the water. All these taps are frost free as well, so they can be operated during the winter months. There I would suggest either folks have holding tanks inside their tiny houses, and once they finished, in the winter anyways, finished filling up their holding tanks, then to drain their hose and make sure it doesn't freeze. Alternatively, once we do have power, I would then suggest everybody to get heated hoses. You can just leave them hooked up. But I have a sprinkler attached here at the moment, just kind of doing the flush with the water not being used consistently through the winter. Each spring I come and do a big flush. And then once we have folks staying, we start doing water tests as well, so which is something that we're required to do. But yeah, and then each pad has an intake for your septic or gray water. It can all go into the same receptacle. Each pad is roughly 12 feet wide by 30 feet long. I'm going to be shaping them over the next few months here with using those rocks and kind of shaping, especially around the water spigots and that sort of stuff, and probably get another couple loads of gravel and kind of shape them a little bit more. But I'm aiming for 12 by 30. Doesn't necessarily mean that is the restricted length. For example, lot 1 here could definitely take more than a 30-footer. But that's the rough size of each pad, is 12 by 30. Pad 1, pad 2, the only restriction right now is the culvert that comes across the drainage in regards to size. But pads 6 and 5 are very easy accessible. And then pad 4 has a slight size restriction because you do have to kind of pull forward and back into it. Yeah, so that's definitely kind of put aside for shorter homes. Yeah, it's been kind of a bit of a process. Lots of, because we are in more or less fire country here, so I've been trying to kind of fire smart the property. I kind of maintain a bit of a fire break down the one side here, and I've been trying to navigate the fine balance of maintaining privacy using the vegetation to each pad, but then also being safe for a brush fire that could potentially come through. So it's kind of always walking a fine line. This is pad number 6. As you can see, it's kind of one of the easier entries. And the one other thing that I do want to do, because the utilities are on the downhill side here, again, depending on the house design, but for the most part, most let's say RVs, their doors are going to be on the right-hand side, or driving right-hand side. So this is kind of one of the things I want to do is kind of using our rock load there and kind of flatten this area out a little bit to kind of give it a little kind of like a landing space for folks. And then if people come in, then they can, oh, well, I want to put in a little deck. I'm very much on board with kind of working with tenants to get an idea of what they want to do and what their vision is, and then working with them to kind of come up with a plan, and then being like, I love that plan, go for it. Number 5 over here. Yeah, this is the bane of my existence right now. Is the it's an invasive species. It's quite fragrant, but it's kind of trying to take over, and I keep on trying to fight it back. That's one of my projects this spring, is to pull all this stuff up and maintain it.
Okay, so this is a little bit smaller?
This is a little bit smaller, but again, so what's happened over the last couple of years is just the snow and weather have kind of rounded off the pad a little bit. And so, yeah, that rock is really going to help kind of hold up the wall, and then kind of widen out this pad a little bit, because it has, over the last kind of year or so, it has narrowed out a little bit. And so that's my goal, is to, yeah, maintain that minimum of 12 foot. So some pads will be slightly wider, but the minimum will definitely be trying to maintain 12. I would park on whatever side the front door is in, give that the most space. Yeah, and then each pad as well, the little septic intake is always on the downhill side, just for gravity.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So,
I could see that it would have to be a lighter house too, to be able to get down.
Yeah, lighter house and a big truck.
Definitely a big truck.
Yeah. And this is number 4 as well. It's also kind of size restricted. It's kind of under construction at the moment. We had to take down a couple trees just to protect our septic field. So the septic field is down below here, and the soak field, and so we had to take down those trees down there. But in the process of cleaning that up at the moment. But then once that's cleaned up, my goal is to set in a little kind of path. So the composting stations are down at the bottom. And so, yeah, I'm going to be putting in a little path so people can access for the folks who do have composting toilets.
Well, it's a great idea. I mean, I think a lot of people are looking to move to more sustainable, more off-grid, just more environmentally aware, friendly ways of living.
Definitely, and that's kind of my whole part of my whole vision for Wheatgrass, was also to kind of, instead of just cutting everything down and trying to fit into the environment and fit into and take down as minimal trees as possible. It's such a gorgeous area. We have so much wildlife that come through. There's tons of grouse running around in the spring. The deer love it in here. We've got a local elk herd too that come through. It's a really awesome area.
So you could open your front door in the morning and have all sorts of wildlife sitting.
I've woken up in the morning and have had a family deer walking right through in front of the tiny house here, and kind of spooked me, because I spooked them, and then obviously they spooked me as soon as I woke up.
I'm sure that the pup thought that was just the best thing ever.
Oh yeah, it got her quite excited for sure.
It's a beautiful view that you've got.
So we're looking over, okay, this is kind of Sidley Mountain area. And so this is kind of the Sidley Mountain Valley, and then looking across over onto the White Mountains on the other side there. We're looking into the snowy protected area. And you can see a few of the cathedral peaks as well in Cathedral Provincial Park.
It's so nice and quiet and just so peaceful here.
And we have awesome neighbors too. They're all very much up here to enjoy the kind of rural mountain life. And yeah, our neighbors next door here, they're totally off-grid as well. So people can reach me in a couple different ways. So we do have an Instagram page, so Wheatgrass Tiny Homes. I also have a Facebook page for wheatgrass tiny homes in the country, and then feel free to shoot me an email. I can either send it to wheatgrasscommunity@outlook.com, or feel free to shoot me a text message or a phone call at my cell phone number. It's 604-779-2730.
And I'll put everything in. Hey guys. Hi.